ladies and gentlemen. Bump, 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 bump. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all to the Hope for Romantic M.A.N podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Dropping Dimes, aka the Hope for Romantic, aka the feminist with chauvinist tendencies, man. And I'm excited to have everybody here tonight. I got one of my favorite people to talk with on a regular basis, my co-host, and definitely a regular on my show here. Um, Everybody that knows her always asks me about her to bring her back, and they want to hear her feedback because she always has a very unique but a very informed opinion on whatever topic we're talking about. And like I always say, man, she's a single mom. She is a Renaissance woman. She's a hard worker, entrepreneur. You name it, we could put the label on her. Overall, just a fantastic person. I want to welcome my homie, Ms.Illy. What's going on, Ms.Illy?
Woo! How you doing? How are
I'm great,
you?
man. I'm great, man. How's everything? How you feeling? How
Everything
you
is
been?
good. It's good. I'm glad to be back. It's been so long. It's
I
been a
know, but don't
long
worry. We
time.
got we got to get like on a schedule, man. Because I always get everybody. A lot of people ask me like, "Hey, whatever happened to the girl you used to do it, Ms.Illy? Where's Ms.Illy?" I'm like,
Oh,
she'll be back on. She'll be back on. That's all I always tell her.
right.
She'll be back on. I know I enjoy talking to you.
Life,
Um,
life. But here we are.
Life
That's what
does happen,
matters.
man.
All we have is now. And here we are.
Good. I like to be present, and that's a good lead-in to today's subject: being present. Um, One of the things I've been talking a lot about lately, and I've been getting a lot of like questions and a lot of sometimes statements in my inbox. From men, it's usually how do I get my wife to do A, B, and C? How do I get her to do more? Right?
Uh-huh.
For women, I almost feel like they're saying, how do I get my husband to hear me during sex, to listen to me, like to pay attention and feel me during sex? You know what I'm saying? And I always refer back to my book, Shallow River to Deep Ocean, A
Uh-huh.
Man's Guide to Understanding His Woman by First Understanding Himself, where I interviewed a lot of different women and picked their brain and came up with something I call the mental orgasm. I am so surprised at a lot of 35, 45-year-old women, 50-year-old women that have never had a mental orgasm. What does that mean? Um, it's pretty clear that after a certain amount of time with your spouse or with your mate, sex is triggered in different ways for each partner. For the most part, men, I don't care how long you're together, he needs to be attracted to you physically. He needs to look at you and say, I want her, you know? And what I find with women, at least from the women that I've talked to and what they've told me, was they need to have that mental attraction and emotional connection with you past the looks. Past there's almost like a look phase, and then that look phase kind of that percentage shrinks, and the emotional and physical mental attraction need to increase in order for you to now become, want to initiate sex or want to be involved. Is that on point or is that way off?
Yeah. I think what it is that, the more serious it gets, as time goes on, your expectation is less on the superficial, and more on really like, yeah, mentally, like where are you mentally? What are the things that you do, the beliefs that you have, all of those things, all the mind fucks that you give to me in our conversation, that help it go a little longer, a little farther than
Yeah,
just
you're right. What do you call it? One of the things I try to explain to men, and again, I'm coming to you. I'm definitely coming to you guys, to the women that are going to be listening, to Miss Illy. I'm coming to you from a position of educate me. Listen, use me as the platform to speak to men in general. If
But
you have
here's
a
the
partner in
thing
your life,
too, though. It's not because you can kind of mention that, like, go in on the men that I guess are not doing the mind fucking. But when you initially brought the topic to me, my thought was all the men that are really great at mind fucking, but nothing else. You
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. There is there's absolutely a balance that you need to keep because what ends up happening is, um, especially as you get older, right? And let's say you can't dunk that ball anymore. Now you become more of an IQ player type thing. But you have to realize that you cannot completely substitute either or. You know what I mean? That's what I'm realizing. As you get older, you
Yeah,
realize it has to be a balance.
balance. It's
Just
life is
because you
about balance.
completely Yeah, you can completely feed somebody mentally and emotionally, but if you can't participate physically, if you can't actively still, do your part physically,
Dunk the ball. Hmm.
yeah, you can't dunk the ball. It's not just because you can do it. You have to find a balance. Now, I feel like as women get older, the shift changes a little bit, maybe, where like they still want the physical stimulation, but they put a little more weight on, let's say, B, which is the mental. Or is that true, or now you need it to be a 50-50 thing always?
I think it's always, yeah. I mean, as long as she's healthy and able, I think you want both sides of that. I think the reality is too, though, like as you get older, sometimes dunking the ball ain't, you know what I mean? So it's like you need to be able to
Yeah, no, no, absolutely.
stimulate in other areas. Because if that's all we had, and now it's an issue, then what?
Somebody once told me, right? And you tell me. I don't know. It could be completely up, but I was like, it was when I was researching for my book. A woman once told me this, and it came to me like a flash. I don't know where it came from, and I think I have an idea who told me it, but I can't fingerpoint. It was that if you make a woman have a physical orgasm, you feed her for a day. If you give her a mental orgasm, you feed her for a lifetime. You know what I mean? Meaning like if you because here's the theory behind it. The theory behind it is working smarter, not harder for men. All right. Essentially, um, one of the things and again, you have to really let me have it if I'm off on this. Okay. Um, I always feel like women have like an emotional closet in their brain. Okay. In the front of that closet is a lot what they stress about, the things they worry about, the things on a daily that they have to deal with, that they have to handle. At the very back of that closet is pleasure, you know? So now, in order for me as a man to get to that port to be able to have you, because I always tell guys, you don't make women orgasm. Women orgasm because they get into the moment, they relax, and they allow themselves to go to a certain place mentally, emotionally, for them to have that. You know what I mean? Very rarely does it just spontaneously happen without you control. You know what I'm saying? From what I know, unless I'm that bad, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I don't know.
I think that's see, and that's like the little bullshit stuff that women will say. Like to some degree, yes, that is true. If you're not into somebody mentally, and you're doing that, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
But even, and I hate to bring up the R word, but even victims of that have had like some shame and guilt around having a physical experience just because it was just a physical experience that felt good. So I will just
Right.
say that it's not just all about the mental. You got to be able to, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
connect,
yeah, 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 yeah.
connect in
The
all
reason, the
ways.
reason, the reason I came up with this, right? Where I talk about the mental closet. It's so funny because I always remember, like, it's so funny how a guy, right? It's like where a woman has one. I don't know. Again, I hope I'm not generalizing, insulting women, but I'm really just trying to drive home a point where they have one closet, like where everything is kind of stored. I feel like men are like more simple, and we just have little boxes, right? And we could fully enjoy A, even if the world is falling apart around us, in B,
And be
where I
right.
find a lot of times women
Hmm.
aren't able to do that. So, like, I'll give you an example. I always give this example. I did it in the book. If I walk outside and I go to turn my car on, and my car don't turn on, or there's a problem with it, and I walk in, I'm a little stressed, and you look at me like, yo, Mike, you want to, I'm gonna look at you. You want to blow job? I'll be like, yeah, all right, I'll take it. Right now, let's flip that. You walk outside to go turn your car on, to go get your car started, get it, whatever. You walk inside about complaining about your car, and I go to you, hey, you want to fool around? You're gonna look at me like, are you out of your freaking mind right now?
Yes.
Like, are you stupid? Like, do you not see what's happening? That's why I feel that way. I feel like women, like when they're stressed about something, that's it. Like, yo, shut it. Like, chill. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's
That's true.
instances
It
where
does.
they
It
can put
messes
it.
up. The mental creates the physical connection or assists with the physical connection that
I read
helps
something the other day.
expand
It
it.
was like, what is it? Sex is better when the bills are paid. You know what I mean? And what does that really mean? It's funny to write it and watch it, like see it in a meme. But the truth is, I get what they were saying. They were like, when you're stress free, when that closet, when the person that you care about, right, sees what you see, they worry about what you worry about. Those problems that you have, they dive in and say, yo, you know what? I'm going to help you with these things. And one by one, they help you clear that emotional closet, right? So that all that's left is the pleasure that's in the back of that closet. Now, when I approach you about sex, you're not stressed about anything. You're not stressed about that electric bill, about that mortgage. Now, or you're in the moment. You're like, oh, I don't have any. That's why when people go on vacation, they tend to have great sex. They tend to
Right.
have great sex on vacation.
Right.
Why? Because they left that closet is empty. They say purposely, while I'm on this vacation, I'm leaving everything behind. I don't care what's going on. And women tend to be more free, more experimental, more open. You know what I mean? Of course, it's just more fun. You know what I mean? And when you talk to guys, they're like, I wish I had my vacation wife, at home more.
Not the
And you're like,
vacation.
well, how about you give her vacation problems? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Let's give her some vacation. The biggest decision she's making on vacation is it a fucking pina colada or a fucking strawberry daiquiri. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not the kid is failing fifth grade. What do you call it? She's peeing the bed. Over here, we're behind on the mortgage. And yo, you know what? My car didn't start. That's how do you expect anybody? Now again, men, we're wired different. We're like, yo, all right, well, the world's falling apart about us. So you gonna get a blowjob? Yeah, of course, I'll take it right away. You know what I'm saying? Temporarily, in our minds, it's like it's not gonna affect anything long. Man, let's just have fun. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Which drives women crazy because they're like, obviously you don't see what I see. Obviously you don't see what I see.
Yeah. It's not. It's it's like you see it, but it's like, why is it not a priority for you? Like it's a priority for me, kind of
Okay,
thing.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Stop right there. Say that again. Say that again. Say what you just said again.
Why is it not a priority for you? Like it's a priority for me.
Or do you mean why are you not stressing the way I'm stressing?
I think that's not the perspective. Like that could be how you
Okay,
interpret
okay,
it as
okay.
a man. But I think as a woman, it's just like, okay, here's this thing that I feel like is super important, and you talking about getting a blowjob. What do you mean? What do you mean right now? What are you talking about? I gotta go to work.
Yeah. I always look at it like this, man. I feel like when I talk to guys, they don't understand what the woman is trying to tell them. And for the longest, I had the hardest time figuring it out myself. I'm not perfect. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot myself.
Yeah, y'all
So
all are.
well, we all are in a way. What I figure is this, right? What I'm learning is this. At the end of the day, what she's really saying is, yo, if shit falls apart, if my shit falls apart and I go, I don't trust that you could take care of this shit. I don't trust that you can handle it yourself. Whereas if you disappear tomorrow, I know I got this. I'm good. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like I feel like that's how a lot of women feel about men. You know what I mean? And men, because that control, that confidence that women come up with, instead of being a man and stepping up and being like, well, you have that confidence, I'm gonna have it too. I'm gonna join you in that mental that space and that thinking. They kind of retreat and are like, well, she has it. Well, she's got it. She's gonna
Mm-hmm.
take care. She could always. I know this isn't gonna fall apart. She'll take care of it. Like they have that what do you call it? Like it's almost like that bill. No, I'm not gonna pay for it. She'll pay for it. She'll take care of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a turn off to a lot of women. And I don't think
Mm-hmm.
guys understand
100%.
that shit.
Well, I was gonna say that in that because that's what the whole I think the mental orgasm is. That it's just like, oh, this man. It's not like, oh, we have great conversation about the medieval times. It's like, yo, we connect on some real things, some things that matter. He's making me feel.
Every woman has a different. Yeah, it's not a one plate fits everybody. You know what I'm saying? You have to know your partner. You have to know who she is. You have to know. I always say it's like a love letter. I meet women all the time. And they tell me, I fucking hate love letters. I hate that shit. If a guy sends me, I want to rip it up in his face. I can't stand it. And I'm like, really? And I had to dive into that shit, right? And I started to think, oh, you don't like love letters. It's not love letters you're against. It's the type of letter this guy's writing you. So if you're a hardened woman, right, and you've been through the mud and you've been through the shit, right, and you have aspirations and dreams and you got big goals, you don't want to hear, baby, when I look at you, I see a flower and I want to make love to you and you're so delicate. You're like, what the fuck? Get out of here with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, yo, whatever you need, I got your back. I'm here. I wouldn't want to be at war with anybody else. Yo, we got this. Listen, this is what I'm going to do in the next couple of months to line up to make sure your dreams come true, to make sure that this family excels. Da, da, da. That's a way different letter. You feel me? And you write that same woman that letter, and all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, my pussy just got wet. Holy shit, this is what I've been looking for.
Well,
You
I
know what I
think
mean?
the point is, it's not even necessarily the part of it. Again, what you're saying, but the
Yeah.
part of it that women don't like is the cookie cutter, the template. Because that's what love letters are. It's just like, okay, you're not saying anything genuine. You're just, complimenting me, giving me all
Right.
these promises, and
That's
then
not what I
obviously,
need right now. Yeah.
yeah,
And then it's like I have this whole thing that I'm putting out now. It's called The Art of the Love Letter. And it's literally, that's what it describes. It describes like just and these are conversations that I had with different types of women. So the person that I'm replying to in each section is a different woman and a different type of woman. One of them is hardened by years of disappointment with men and just bullshit. She doesn't want to stop with the bullshit. Yo, be real with me.
right,
And then
right.
there's the one that's like, yo, that really needs that reassurance that you love me. Tell me you love me. Tell me you care about me. Romance me. I haven't had that. So there's like a range of women, and I kind of
Let's be clear
literally write a
though,
letter.
all women want that. It's just like how much you can handle it. Again, if I've been hard and I've been through a lot, don't fucking smother me with the bullshit that I've heard it all before.
Exactly.
But I still want it. I still want
Yes,
it. I
you
still
want to
need it.
cater to you. You want to cater to your experience. You want to cater to you what your needs are, and it translates to sex. It translates to being with somebody, being intimate with somebody. A lot of times, guys, we confuse. You see, unfortunately, man, I say this all the time, but unfortunately, we learned. I'll say I don't want to throw all guys on the bus. I learned 95% of what I know about sex, or what I knew about sex, not as a grown man, but what I knew about sex was from pornography.
Right,
That's where I learned it, bro. I could lie to you and be like, no, I had a great conversation with. No, never. Listen to me. Never.
right.
Never did I sit with my
Older
mother and
women
be like,
taught me how
Michael,
to.
you have to take care. Never. My mom's old school, bro. She looked at me like, yo, watch your chickens because my rooster on the loose. You better make sure you take care. Like that's how her conversations were with me about
Like
sex, and I'd be
what?
like, oh, okay, all right, is that what it is? Like my machista type shit. And I had to learn, like, yo, you know what? That's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all designed to make you, sex has nothing to do with dominance. It has nothing to do with power. You know what I mean? Unless you're in jail, you know what I'm saying? It's got nothing to do with dominance and power. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. We're not gonna go into like, the grays, those 50 Shades of Gray type shit. That's different. But the truth is, there is no what do you call it? Like that's not something what should be present with two people. And I try to express this to men all the time. See, like I told you earlier, the conversation that I get a lot of is, um, yo, Mike, my wife don't do this. My wife don't do enough of that. Or how do I get my wife to do this? You know what I'm saying? And I'm listening and I'm like, well, number one, you have to establish trust in your relationship. And they're like, oh, my wife trusts me with everything with her life. And they want to jump in. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's two types of trust. There's trust in the bedroom, and there's the trust outside of the bedroom. Two completely different things. I'll tell you right now, and this is exactly the speech I have, so I can tell you, I guarantee you, you fucked up and she lost some of the trust when she let you do that special thing, and when she told you not to push, you pushed. And
Oh
she was
my
like, what the fuck? What are you doing? What are
God.
you and that's it. It went out the window. So trust me, I believe me. If what you're complaining about is that you did something along the way where you didn't stop when she asked you to stop, or you didn't slow down when she asked you to slow down, or you took you were hardcore or whatever when she was trying to just make you happy, and you fucked that up. So now you got to regain that. You know what I mean? Let's work on that. Oh, but how do I do that? How do I? You do that by taking it slow, by patience, by communicating verbally and non-verbally, understanding what the boundaries are between pain and pleasure. Pain has nothing to do with this unless she's asking for it. That's different. You know what I'm saying? But
I think,
understanding
I'm
that,
gonna be honest with you. I think that's a bit of a reach. That whole
yeah,
like, because she doesn't want to do things because he pushed it too far one time. Like maybe she just don't fuck with him like that.
yeah, no,
Maybe
no, 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 yeah, for sure.
inspiring her to want to try new things. Because that's the thing sometimes too, is like, you want to do all of this and all of that. But again, I'm dealing with, PP beds and grades and walking dogs and doing all of that. And you talking about come suck something out your asshole. Like, no, I don't feel like doing that. Like,
No, no,
it's just
and this is part of the
inspire
conversation.
me. I've always said that. I think like, this modern woman, this new generation, it's like we're not doing things out of obligation. Just because I'm your woman doesn't mean that I'm automatically busting it open every single night and sucking things out of places I don't want to, like, inspire me to want to do those things. And
hundred
if I'm
percent.
running around, like you said, if I'm running around dealing with all the other boxes all day, no, I'm not
And
thinking
that's
about
where the entire
that other hole.
and that's where the entire thing about the mental orgasm comes from, because it's the theory is not about the actual sex act and have where she's at that moment. It's taking the time and having the patience to get her there over time. Not, I always say intimacy, right? Providing intimacy. What does that mean? A lot of times, men, we associate intimacy and sex. Intimacy, sex. No, 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 no. Intimacy could be literally doing something for her that's been on the back of her mind that she needed to get done, and because her schedule is so tight, she hasn't been able to. So all of a sudden, that car needed a service, oil change, this, that, blah, 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 and she comes home and it's done. You did that for her. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's a level of intimacy. Sometimes she comes home and some things she needed repaired and the house clean and the kids settled for the night. Sometimes that's intimacy. That's like, hey, listen, I see how hard you work. I'm with you, and it's
To
a
sum it
lot of
up, intimacy is the security, the safety, the
safety and
I
the
know that I'm
security.
good, right? So I can relax. I can not have to think about that. Or even if it's something that I have to think about and he distracts me from it, I know that when we're done, he got it. It's not like I got to now pick up while he lays there with it stuck to his leg, and
One of
I'm out there cranking up the car. Like, no.
Exactly. You're not trying to get out of work early because you got to go handle it. Just simple. A lot of it is simple. A lot of times, man, we overwork it in our mind and we think it means flowers and no, 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 no. That's not what it means. Look at her, examine her, peep her life. As a matter of fact, don't peep her life as in you're looking at her life. Look at her life as in you're looking at your life as a team and say, okay, what can I take? What can I handle? What can I take away from her? You know what I mean? What happens is, one of the things I tell guys is this. I'm like, listen, number one, don't ask for the fantasy if you're not making an orgasm. If you're not helping an orgasm on a regular basis, that's just fucked up. Not every sexual act needs that orgasm, but people work, they want to get paid. So stop asking for extra shit if you're not doing the basics. You know what I'm saying? Stop asking for extra if you're pumping in 2 minutes and you can't handle shit. Don't be asking for the extra. You know what I mean? That's not fair to her. But number two is, what do you call it? I associate intimacy. I always talk about intimacy is like grocery shopping. I go grocery shopping today. Not everything that I buy, I'm gonna cook tonight. Some of it I store away for a later date, right? Well, intimacy is the same thing. Not everything you do is meant to have sex that night. A lot of things that you're doing is to build up that trust, that credit, that emotional connection over time, so that maybe one night in the future she's able to let go, relax, and be there, be present for you. You know what I'm saying? And then and only then, yo, ask for the
But
extra.
then, okay, so that sounds really nice, right? But what about the guy that's like, I want to have sex every night, every other night? I think that's what's reasonable.
You better start giving it up because what you won't do, the next woman will. You didn't expect that answer. You didn't expect that answer, but the truth is this. No, I'm joking. That was literally a joke. I'm fucking around. I was just doing that shit for your reaction. But the truth is this. The truth is this. You have to acknowledge the role that you play in a relationship. And if you're with a man that has a hypersex drive and that he's fucking on it and you can't satisfy what he's asking for, then be honest with yourself and maybe you need to get the fuck out of there, or you need to let him do what he's gonna do. Because stop playing him. Because that's not fair either. It's not fair that, you know what? Okay, if you're telling me he wants sex 7 days a week and you're giving it to him 3, okay, that's compromise. But if he wants sex 7 days a week and you're giving him sex once a month, you're the problem. You're the problem. Now I'll hear, oh, Mike, no, but that's not fair because emotionally, bullshit. I'll give you mad credit, yo. This is where the chauvinist with feminist, what is the feminist with chauvinist tendency comes in. Because I'll give you all the credit in the world.
That shit, drop them draws.
I'll give you all the credit in the world until you're playing games with my emotions. Right. Now you're using fucking sex as a weapon, and I don't play that shit. You want to use sex as a weapon? Cool, it worked. It worked, and it fucked this up. It destroyed this. So now, guess what? I don't feel wanted. I don't feel needed. The number one way to lose me,
pussy, bitch, I'm on my own dick.
I'm on my own dick. The best way to lose me is, you bruise my ego first. Unfortunately, I'm not that strong. I'm not that that emotionally put together. You fuck with my ego, guess what? You're on the way out the door to losing me. You know what I'm saying? We could play that. I could lie to you all and be like, well, that's when, as a man, I have to step up and really deal with her emotional needs. No, 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 no. Again, if she's compromising with me, and instead of 7 days a week, she says 2, 3, sometimes 3, 4, and we're negotiating that. That's cool. That's man. And as a man, I can look at you and be like, okay, cool. I see what you're
You
doing
gave
here.
it a good
I gotta step.
effort.
I gotta step my game up. Yeah, you get the A for effort. I gotta step my game up. I gotta do more. But if you're using it as a weapon and you're giving it to me one time, you're giving it to me, whatever, and then shit goes left, and you're looking at me, I'm looking at you like, no, 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 baby, you lost me when you decided to play that game. You decided it worked. You used it as a weapon, and it killed me. It worked. You got that. Now what? You know what I mean? Like, we could, man, I get into
But
trouble
then
when I
do you
start talking about.
automatically end a relationship because of that? Because you
No,
said that
I
you killed me at
this
work. Like you sat around, waited for an opportunity to be like, nope, you ain't giving me no pussy. So now I'm
this
not
is
the
where
man you need me
communication
to
is very
be.
important. This is
Hmm?
where communication and compromise is very important.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if you're not compromised, look, unless you have some kind of health issue, right, that I know about,
Hmm.
unless you have some, your morning, there's always reasons, solid reasons on why you may not feel sexy, you may not feel great about yourself, right? Yo, Mike, I gained a lot of weight, I feel like shit, but we're openly communicating, and I'm like, you're beautiful, and I see that even on days where you don't feel that sexy, like there's a night where you're like, yo, and you express me, and you still, there's credit there to be made. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not black and white where I'm just completely like, oh no, f that, you don't give me the drawers, I'm done. No, there's a whole bunch of wiggle room in there. You're not feeling sexy, you just had a baby, you just whatever. There's
Yeah, let's
plenty
say
of that.
all of those factors aside, she's regular, normal. She ain't going through nothing. She just don't fuck with you for whatever
Like, you
reason.
don't love me, you don't love me, you don't love me. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? What am I? You don't love me. Okay, cool. So then stop wasting my time. Because, yo, let me tell you something, I could deal with a lot. You know what I'm saying? But feeling rejected, I don't care. And again, insecurity. Yeah, call me that. Fine, cool.
No, nobody
I'll eat
wants to
that.
feel that. Yeah.
Insecure like a motherfucker then.
Because when it's
Because the one
on the
thing,
reverse, bitches be tripping like,
and think about,
yeah,
no.
you don't want it.
Yo, for real. No, and women go through it too. Think about it. Yo, you get to a certain age and guys just lose the urge to even touch you, and you're looking at them like, yo, I'm in a sexless marriage, bro. You ever meet a chick that's married? She's mad grumpy all the time. You're like,
She
yo, what's up? What happened? Yo, she hasn't been digged down in years. She hasn't been touched inappropriate in a good way in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Or he hasn't put the effort in a minute. Because you'll be surprised what I find women will accept. Like if they know their man's situation is, he's overweight, he's this, he's going through that, they'll be like, oh, but I love him, and it kind of substitute, but I see him trying. You know what I'm saying? Just like with men, I see you trying. I see you really trying like to satisfy me, make me happy. You know what I mean? But when you're not even trying, when you're not trying, I can't play that game with you. No, 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 no. I'm not sitting. I refuse to sit in a situation
you was
where
serious
I'm
about this.
listen, yo, I've been in the past, right? Where especially when I was younger, yo, and I was a fucking beast, yo, and all that. Like, yo, I don't know what my testosterone levels were, but they had to be like above average. They had to be above normal, right?
You was just
It
like
was
every
crazy.
other nigga. Don't feel special.
Man, nah, listen, man, I don't know. No, it was crazy. And I wanted that shit all the time. And I remember the few times like how I would react, yo. I would take it as rejection and as you don't want me.
I mean,
And da,
that's
da,
how
da, da.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sucked. Well, you know, on most occasions, you end up finding out why, what happened, and you're able to work through it. But I could just imagine, I can imagine like because it literally becomes a weapon. It becomes a weapon. Now, oh, I'm gonna give him something. I'm not giving him. No, I'm not. Oh, he pissed me off. I'm not. That's it. No, that's not cool, man. It's not. And again, if that's the game, again, this is very specific. If that's the game you want to play, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know what I'm saying? Don't come to me, hey Mike, he's cheating on me. He's fucking the girl at Walmart at the cashier and da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh yeah, Meanwhile, you just told me for 4 months, 6 months. When's the last time you touched him? When's the last time you guys had sex? Like 6 months ago. Why? I don't know. I'm busy and da, da, da. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. There's your
That's
answer.
a
What do you want me to
long
do?
time. Like what? Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, what, there's your answer. What do you want me to say? Now, again, it's not a popular answer. Again, people want to hit you with the, and again, this this is why I start to laugh because again, I walk that fine line between a lot of the shit that these guys say on the internet, where they're like talking mad, toxic, wild shit, but then sometimes they hit.
You be like, I feel
Sometimes
you,
they
I
hit.
feel you.
And if you're fucking sitting around simping, hoping that she gives you praying, maybe tonight if I behave, the fuck
No,
out of here. You're in the wrong relationship, bro.
I agree.
In the wrong relationship. One of the funny things is fantasies, right? Like I said, I get a lot of I got a really healthy guys, athletes, like these guys are on point and they're asking about, oh, but my wife doesn't, my girl don't do this, my girl don't do that. And then when they start to detail, like you ask them, you're like, so, how do you introduce that? What do you do? How do you like bring that to light? Like, where do you, well, you hear some of the dumbest answers ever. You hear some of the dumbest answers are like, nah, I just be like sitting there, just put like a little bit of porn on my laptop and be like, yo, what you think? And I'm like, well, okay, all right.
No.
In my head, I'm like cringing, like, yeah, all right, okay, I see what you did there. Then sometimes they'll be like, yo, in the middle of sex, they just try some wild shit. And the girl's like, whoa, wait, catch, whoa, hey,
Doesn't go there.
my eye, what the fuck are you doing? What are you
Right.
doing? Some wild shit, you know what I'm saying? And the girl's like, the woman's caught off guard, like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? And then there's times where it's like shit gets awkward. They'll tell you how shit got awkward, or she just stood up and got up and walked out on it. And I'm like, okay. And we start to talk, and I'm like, well, listen, man. And again, you tell me if this is good advice or not. One of the things I try to tell them is, I used to be a phys ed teacher. I used to teach phys ed, right? And one of the things I learned was, in order to introduce a sport, right, what you want to do is you first introduce the rules, then you introduce some simple techniques and some little drills, right? And then you introduce the sport. When I used to do that, there was always the kid that knew how to play that was frustrated for the first 2, 3 days. I hate this shit. It's stupid, man. I know how to play. I'm a jock. And he'd run around and want to like play whatever.
Right.
I never did that for them. I did it for the kids that didn't know how to play.
Of course.
Right? So that when it was time to play the game, they would have an idea what the rules are, what to expect, and how to participate and have fun. Right? So one of the advice that I give men is that it would behoove them to take that approach. Now here's the thing: most of these guys aren't teachers. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know it enough to teach the shit. But you got to kind of help them and meet them where they're at. So I'm like, hey, listen, okay, this is what
But here's my thing, right? So like, and that's the thing too, right? You can't be a teacher because why, you don't have any experience, right? So meaning you probably never did this shit before. So why are you coming at me on some, I don't know. I mean, we're all allowed to have fantasies, right? But my thing is like, let the experience be authentic. If you want to be extra kinky, have that conversation again, ease into it with each encounter and get to where you're going to get to authentically. Like, just because you saw something in a porn doesn't mean like it has to be your life's mission to try that. And now because I'm your wife or your main thing, like every
well,
opportunity,
here's the thing.
hey,
You
about
just touched on
this.
something. You just touched on something. Like the thing about porn is, yo, guys, do you know how many cameras, angles, how much light, and how many people in that room to make it look the way it looks? And how many of those angles are strictly for like audio and visual pleasure, but don't feel good when the woman is actually going through it? You know what I mean? Like, no matter how hard you try to relive that porn scene, that's why a lot of guys fail and they watch porn and it's no good. It's that bad for the brain because they'll watch it and they try to relive that shit and it never looks the way it looks in the porn. It never even feels that way because of the angle that you're taking and the angle that you can never take yourself out of your body and watch yourself from this angle right here. Like this angle right here never happens. You can never see this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You maybe see this and maybe like if you have a mirror or shit like that. But as far as like, that weird from under angle you might get, that POV shit, you're never gonna get that. So like that's why it fucks you up because this is what the fantasy was, and then when you're doing it, you're like, it's not living up to.
Right, Lord,
All
looks good.
right.
feels and yeah, like okay. And
Yeah,
that's why
you
I
know.
say like just be authentic because if a pretzel is what you want to do, like y'all will get to that. You know what I mean? If it's flowing in that space and yeah, stop forcing things. Just let it be. That's a whole nother conversation though.
But it is a whole other conversation, but it's an important one because we're trying to get to. It goes back to the part about trust. It's like you have to earn that trust in the bedroom. She has to feel like anything that you do, have done, or are gonna do, even a suggestion that you make, is mutually beneficial. If you broke that trust by doing something that only made you feel good at one point, she's not gonna. Nah, man, I don't trust this dude that this is gonna feel good. No, no, come on, let me. No, 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 I don't trust that you're gonna make it feel good. Now, if you've earned that, see, there's a lot of women when you talk to them like, yo, my husband earned that, my man earned that. He earned the fact that I know, like, I'm gonna put it in his hands because he won't do anything to like make me feel uncomfortable. I know that what he's doing is we're in tune. You know what I mean? And it goes back to the drills. It
And
goes
then
back
if I
to
am uncomfortable, he'll honor that and
he'll
chill the
stop
fuck out, you
and
know?
he'll stop.
Yeah.
And it goes again back to the porn conversation. Yo, it's like, dude, it's like you have this rape scene in your head where you're like, you want the girl's eyes to pop out of her head. And yo, like, here's one of the main problems about porn. Porn has made it confusing for some men what certain noises mean. All right, certain noises that women produce. Yo, if it sounds painful, there's a good chance that it doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Where in porn they've tried to teach you that sometimes the pain is pleasure, and again, for some women it is. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they kind of feed you in
Right.
your head.
Yeah,
So
but if
you'll do
it's indicates
something.
to me, I'm gonna let you know that. Like, that's not the average. And so,
That's where the communication comes in,
right.
and you need to talk. If I asked you number one, give me a list, some advice, right? Young guys that are listening, right? That are gonna be listening. Young guys that are gonna be listening. They're a couple of years in, they got a girlfriend or whatever. And what's some of the advice that you would give them about sex? You're like, hey, listen, man, here, let me give you a quick lesson, a quick 3 or 4 things that I need you to do to make sure that your girl's happy.
Pay attention. Now that's it. Period. I mean, because a woman's body will let you know when you're doing the right thing. And if you're on the right, it's like hot and cold, you can tell. You should be able to tell if you're paying attention. And you'll pay attention if you're not just worried about yourself. So I guess that's number two. It's like it's just not just about you. Remember you're not there by yourself and pay attention to your partner. And again, I think their body will speak. And that's where I say like the easing into things happens is because as you're enjoying the process, like, okay, she liked that. Let me try this. Like, okay, she ain't seem to like that. Let me switch it up over here. And you know what I mean? And yeah, pay attention.
What advice would you give them about foreplay?
Do it.
Oh, that's it. No, you don't take your time. Like, come on, give me. Well, we're Neanderthals. You got to kind of like feed us something. Let her know. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think men don't spend enough time doing it? They
That's why I
need
say
to spend more
do it.
time.
Do it. Like it's not just a quick little let me ease, run through that part real quick. Do it. Commit to the process. And again, that's gonna be different for every woman. I know women that don't like to have their pussy eaten. So I'm not gonna say that that's what you have to do.
Right.
Do it because most women need something. Something. Nibble on my ear, something.
Yeah, yeah. Some kind of warm up. Some kind of
Right.
warm up. What about post? I think that's like an area that's really neglected. Like post sex. Like so many people just want to be like left alone. Some people need that cuddling and that hugging. Like, where do you think the happy medium is? You think there should be some post sex cuddling, or do you think like it's perfectly okay to roll over
I
with
think
some?
that's an individual couple thing, right? So that should be maybe a conversation that you have. You ask your individual partner because some people might want to cuddle, or it could be from experience to experience. Um, and again, I think if you pay attention, your partner's body language will kind of suggest if they want to like, let me get some air versus like, baby, come here. Like, let me just bask in all your glory.
I always say you'll tell a lot by the treatment you get after it's over. And it's like if you get the warm towel treatment, she comes over and she helps you and cleans you up. Job well done, my friend. But if she comes over, throws that towel at you, like, "Hey, take care of yourself," you might want to go hit the drawing board again. You might
But
want to
see,
get up and give her a
but
round
is that
two.
the case the whole time? Because I feel like as the relationship involves, she might just start throwing the towel. You just
Yeah.
be happy it's warm. Just be happy it's
But
warm.
if you say I'm thirsty, she says, "Me too." Your ass,
Oh,
you better
silly.
go around too, because now if you say you're thirsty, she's like, "Oh, I'll be right back. What you want? Iced tea, baby?" Then maybe you did a better job. But if you have to get up and get your own drink or make your own sandwich, ooh boy, you might want to go around too, my friend. You might want to like get the boy waking up again because you fucked up.
If you can, yeah.
If
Yeah.
you can, yeah. Well, if you can, holy shit. Let me tell you something, man. That's the other thing, right? What do you find is the difference between sex when you were in your 20s and 20s and sex at the age that you're at now? Like, what do you, is it this, do you look for the same things, or are you more, yeah, like, what's the major difference between a woman in her 20s and a woman like her 30s and 40s?
I think you're just more open, more willing to receive, and on all the things. I think you're less maybe shy, less self-conscious. So there's certain thing, because they've been around the block a couple times, so
Yeah.
you know how to do this. Um, it's a different. It's just like any experience, I think, versus 20 and 40. Same like cooking in the kitchen at 20 versus 40. Like if you've had, you know, the experience, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be easier. It's gonna come more second nature.
I was talking to this one girl. She was like, "Ah, I don't like doing all that on top shit. My knees are bad. I don't. Oh God, it's
Well,
just
then,
like
yeah, you're less wild,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, shit
Yeah.
that's
But I
like
think
I
on the
mean,
same
like
token too, like if you're lucky, right, the guy that you're with is in your age range, and he got all that shit out his way too. So he's just like, girl, as long as
the basics. Let's
right, as long as we
as
make
opposed to like when a 40-year-old woman gets herself with like a nice 22-year-old, and he keeps her up all night. That's all good and fun for like the first couple of weeks, and then by like the third week, she's looking at him like, I gotta go to work. Like I can't be doing this shit, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning because you're all excited. This is crazy. It's fucking me up. It's fucking me up. Turn
that
the turn the ceiling fan on. It's too hot. Dude. Oh my god, I can't. That shit is funny. I always I always like when I was younger. One of the best pieces of advice I'll never forget dealing with older women when I was younger. Right when I was younger, I had I guess the luck. I want to call it the luck of running into two particular women that were much older than me.
how
That
much?
oh man, I think we talked about this the other day because I'm still friends with her. I must have been 30, 31, and she was probably maybe about to turn 50, 47, 48, like that difference, about
Okay.
17 difference, right? And mind you, I'll give you my backstory is I had no experience. Like I was married from a very young age, and I was faithful to my wife for. If I was married to her, no lie, and I hate to bring this up, but if I was married to her 9 years, 8 years, let's say 8 years, I was faithful for 7 years, 9 months of the relationship, 100%. Like never even looked at another woman for 7 years, 9 months. Right, so like that's my backstory. And so, before her, I had a little bit of experience, a little 19, 20-year-old walking around doing my thing. Then I was with her, and it was just being her. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And the what I could teach was very limited because I didn't have much in the closet to teach.
Right.
Follow after her, it was weird because I ran into some woman that was close to 50 and still very attractive, very put together. Now this is after I was already like separated and divorced from my wife. Whatever. I met her out. I was at some cafe sometime at some place. So I think it was a cafe, and I'll never forget how she took me under her wing, right, and walked me through shit. Like it felt like a movie where she's like, no, 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 slow down. Okay, right there. You see, that's a good spot. Like it was like she was a teacher. Like she was like, that's a good spot. That's perfect. That you see that, Michael? If you do that, like if she was schooling me for all the other women I was gonna get to have sex with after I left her,
Right. Right.
she was
She knew
like,
what she
she
was
knew,
doing.
she knew what it was, and she was just like that. Whatever. I'll never forget. One of the things she told me was, A grown man does not have a four-legged bed, like
A
a bed on
four-legged what?
a bed on four legs. Like you know how the frame has four legs. She says a grown man does not have four legs. I'm like, what? Never knew what that meant, right? Until one night I get this wild broad in my house, and my bed starts to slide all over the freaking all over the freaking thing, and I'm like, oh, that's what she meant. She needs that shit to be. I was dying. This little simple trick.
Understood.
This is one of the funny ones. That was just one of the funny ones she told me. But no,
Right.
the way she would, the patience that she had, right, was what was the best thing about. Because she was like, she knew she was dealing with somebody that, yo, Mike has the tools, so I'm gonna walk him through and I'm gonna show him. And I appreciated it so much, especially coming from not
Bet you
knowing
did.
anything. Yeah, I was empty. I was a baby. I was literally a baby. You know what I mean? And she literally walked me through all these things and was like, yo, I'm talking about from A to Z. She walked me through and I was like, oh
From the
wow.
rooter to the tutor.
To the rooter to the tutor. Bang bang. And we were cool as shit. We're still cool. That's my homie. Hey, what's up, homie? You probably listen. Still super cool. And another lady, another woman that I met, which I'm not so cool with anymore. We don't haven't seen her in years. Same kind of thing, man. She was more so like she got the benefits of the woman before her, the one that taught me all that stuff. And she
Mhm.
was like, "Yeah, that's you're on point. You got it." Like kind of like, yeah, she taught you well. Like
Learning,
she was
right?
like, you have earned your belt, Daniel son. Good job. Like she wanted to like put a black belt on me and shit. I was like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. Give me report cards, fucking
Um,
progress reports. Give
I
me fucking little lollipops and stickers if I did well. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh shit, that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't take that for granted because what I found now in my life, yo, which is crazy to me, and I've had this conversation a bunch of times, and I know we've talked enough that I know you don't have this problem, but I've never ran across so many women, and that I call it never been kissed. I call it that's what I call it, never been kissed. What do I mean by that? You go to engage them, you know, to take the relationship or the situation to another level physically, and they're mad awkward and whatever, and they don't kiss and they don't. There's things that they don't do, and you're like, what? Like who? You have kids? Like how did you even have sex? Like what did this guy do? Like put a muzzle on your face and just like have sex with you? Like there's
really.
zero understanding of like foreplay. She's looking at you like, what is he doing? Like, oh my god, I've never. And like they're holding you. Someone's like, oh my god, like what is that? You're like, you
Even at this old age.
mom, listen, I can't. That's what I call it. Never been kissed because I fucking go. It drives me. I'm like, what baffles me about it is these are women that have been married. These are women that have children. These are women that have been in long-term relationships, and you're like, look, who came before me? It's like an adopted child, right? That never got fed, never got anything, and then you get them into your home, and you're like, no, it's okay. You don't have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. Yeah, here's
Yes.
food. It's like you have to like be very slow and
Right.
you're allowed. You're okay. No, here you're good, and you're looking at them like, yo, like you look 40, but you're kissing like you're 16. You're like you're the way you're reacting is like if you're you know what I'm saying, and you feel so. I used to feel very bad. Now I'm more like, okay, cool, challenge. Let me take my time and let me show you what it's supposed to look like. Let me show you what it's supposed to feel like. Let me bring you back. Let's work together on this. You know what I mean? Because it bugs me out, man. You're like, damn it, bro. That's the one right there. They have kids. They've been in a relationship for X amount of years.
Well, sometimes too, though, it could just be like they got to get warmed up. Like I don't know, you like that, so I'm gonna be a little shy and demure.
No, I get what you're saying, and I wish it was that. But when you talk to them, you realize how neglected they were in those situations. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like how it was a very toxic situation for a long time, and how you know sex was because she was married to him. It was like, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. And he got her at a young, naive age and taught her that this is what you're going to accept and this is what you're going to take. And she
Mhm.
never really tasted the world. So she doesn't know that there's more out there. You know what I mean? And it's so crazy how Now, when you start hitting 44, 45, you really start running into women that are in the second half of their life, right? Like that divorce, they've had already that one divorce. Men
Right.
usually have two, and you start running into more of that. So for the guys that are out there, you're gonna run into that a lot. You're gonna run it, and my thing to you is be patient. Be patient with them. You know what I mean? Show them that not all men are created equal. Take your time, invest in them, and let them know that they are safe with you, and that they could put that guard down, and you're gonna put them first. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy. Like that's why I came up with it. I told you, like I didn't come out of that out of nowhere. When I say never been kissed, I just that's the first thing that came to my mind. It's like this is the like
Like it's
it
your
feels like
first
it's the first
kiss,
time
or you're
you've ever
awkward,
really been,
weird.
yeah. And then you grab their face, and here's one of the telltale signs, right? When you grab their face and you go to kiss, and instead of letting you like go slowly and just they kind of like come on, I know what you want. Like let's rush it. You're like, and you give them like the little pause, like yeah, chill. We got all that. There's no hurry here. We got all that. We good. And they're like, oh, okay. And in her mind, she's like, no, because my ex husband he wanted it done by Monday Night Football. You know what I'm saying? Like, or he was like, no, because we only had like 10 minutes or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? This weird shit. You're like, I get it. And now you got to just slow it down, man, and realize that. Let them know that, yo, look, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Let me be there for you. Slow down, chill, because if not, whew, you feel bad, man. You do. It's just like shit, though. I didn't. And what's really astonishing is, I mean, I'm sure women go through that shit with men all the time, where they were married, right, and their wife never gave head, or their wife never did wild shit with them, and now they're super ultra conservative in the bedroom, and they have to kind of like bring them out the shell. Be like, no, baby, you sit back, relax, I got you. And they're like, no, I'm not used to, you know what I mean? It's all weird. So I'm sure it happens in
Yeah,
reverse.
that guy.
What happened?
I said I've never met that guy.
You never met that guy?
I feel
No,
like you just try once, be like, "Well, I'm out here now. Let me try to get all I can get."
yeah. I guess guys are quicker to come out of it. You know what I'm saying? Right away. But like I'll be honest, I was probably like that with that first older woman. I was probably like that, like not knowing. Like I thought, these are the basics. This is what I know. And she's looking at me like, oh no, Bobby, this is
Boring, right?
yeah, there's a whole world out here. You got the energy,
I
you,
can
you got the body stuff. Come on, let's
dream.
go. We're gonna explore this. And I was like, oh shit. So in that case, I could have probably been like, I was the one that never been kissed. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's why I'm not so hard when I meet like women that are in that situation, because I guess I could understand. You know what I'm saying? You come from a very humble, very like plain Jane, very um simple lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? It was just you, her, and you work in this little box of what you know as far as sex is concerned. And no matter how much you try to study, no matter how much you try to read up on it and be a little more adventurous, it never really leaves that box. You know what I'm saying? And then you
Mhm.
meet somebody and they live outside of that box, and they're like, no, that box we could always go there. We're gonna play out here.
Blew
You're
that.
like, oh shit, that's a whole nother fucking world. This is different. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things, man. Never been kissed. It fucking bugs me out, man. But
It's a
you
good
know, to
thing,
the,
I guess.
one of the maybe you could help me with this one. I got a message in my inbox, right? I might have read this to you before, but it said, "Dear Dropping Dimes, I'm a woman of a certain age. My husband, he might have passed away about, I think she said something like going on 4 years, 4 years ago, right? She finally feels like she could step back out into the world, and she wants to, but she's really scared. She doesn't feel like she has value anymore. Like she's just like, nobody's gonna want me and whatever, blah blah blah." And I always I was wondering what kind of advice you would give a woman like that. That she's re-entering the dating world. She's re-entering this whole new phase in her life. You know what I mean? What's something you would tell her? Because I know I'm going to take a completely different angle, because I'm more concerned with how she feels about herself, and I think maybe you could give us the angle of like, yo, what a woman's actually thinking in this,
Well, I
in that,
was
in
gonna say that, I know because it sounds kind of cliche, but like at the end of the day, the better you feel about yourself, that's going to attract people. Like we've all seen the ugly woman, the overweight woman, the old woman, the weird body woman that thinks she is the shit. And she walks around with confidence, and there's going to be somebody that's like, you know what, I like that. That's not, the typical whatever, but I like that. So that's first and foremost. It's cliche, but you got to like what you got going on and feel confident that you are valuable on your own, especially again, if you've already been through the marriage thing, you've had a long-term relationship, not to say that you shouldn't aspire to that again, but like obviously you've done that. Okay. So like whatever
Yeah,
happens,
yeah,
like go with the flow with it, maybe you meet your next husband, or you just go out in the world and have drinks at bars with men that never do anything with them. You know what I'm saying? And just that's
yeah.
your life.
Conversation,
Don't get
right?
caught up on yeah, whatever the end result is. Just be you and enjoy life and then get that experience and engage with people, especially if you've been with one person for a long time. Get to know a lot of different type of people, because it's easy to get caught up just because we have some good conversation at a bar, like, oh, this is the next one. Like, no.
Shatara gave me Curry always gives me the best advice, and I'll never forget it. She always says, "When times get tough, the tough get social." So when shit
Yeah.
gets crazy like that, get social, right? Well, I'm glad you
I
said
like
what you
that.
said because yeah, right? The approach I took was more like I was just more because of the way she wrote. I mean, I wish I had it handy about how she wrote the letter about herself, like some of the things she said about herself. I was thinking about so again, and I hope I don't get killed for this because I'm not saying comparing her to a car, but I'm just saying like to help give this analogy.
Yeah.
Friend of mine when his uncle died, and he went up to a farm up in Central Florida. And when he went up to Central Florida, the uncle had a barn, and when he opened the barn, in that barn was a 1998 Mustang. Okay, it was covered, and what happened was the uncle bought it with his savings, and then he got cancer and could never drove it. They literally brought it off the lot. He parked it. It was covered. So when he opened the car, everything was pristine. He talked about we took that cover off. They still had the plastics on the mat. It still had like when you got in, you had still had a new car smell on the inside. He was like the engine was intact. It still needed some oil. It needed some little really basic maintenance. And little touch ups because of time. But overall, it was in fantastic. And the funny part was that my boy looks at me and he goes, "Mike, when I pulled that car back, that was my dream car. That 98 Mustang is my dream car. You have no idea. Like 5.0, that 98 Mustang is my fucking dream car." And in this scenario, I said, "You're the car.
Mhm.
Yeah, you feel like you're a 1998, but
Right,
you're
right.
in somebody's eyes,
You
you are
classy.
you're a classic. In somebody's eyes, you've barely been driven, you've barely been touched. You've been married all those years. That doesn't really count towards mileage. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. It doesn't.
That's so
In the
funny.
guy's eyes, for real, the guy's eyes, believe it or not, if a woman's been married 20 years and that's the only man she's been with, that really doesn't count towards mileage. We don't count it like that. Like, oh, she has some. I don't care if he did it from the rooter to the tutor. It
Right,
doesn't really
right.
count. It's like that's not a lot of mileage. So just like that, I'm like, so essentially, what you're gonna find is that when you go back into this dating field and you go back out into this world, you are somebody's classic car. They're gonna look at you, and you're literally gonna be that dream woman. You're gonna be a throwback to what women once were because you still have a lot of those values, a lot of those sentiments, and that's what they want in their life. And on top of that, you are so just because you've gotten older, maybe you've changed a little bit physically. Don't get it
A
twisted.
little oil here and
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a little maintenance. You're still you. They know what the potential is when they drive you. You know what I'm saying? In other words, they know the potential when they put it on you,
Right.
what you're capable of,
I
because
like
they
that little
know.
analogy. That's
You know what
cute.
I'm saying? You know what you offer, right? Ding, ding, ding. That's a
Shout
dime,
out to
baby.
all the aunties. Yes,
All
yes.
the aunties out there, you know what you're able to bring to the table. So don't think for a minute that you're not a classic. That you're not a you're coming out into this new world as something that's sought after, something that people do want. There's a population of men that want exactly, and they pray for exactly what you're offering. So when you step out there, the first step, number one, I know it's a scary world out there, but step out of your comfort zone, whether it's taking a salsa class, whether it's joining a society, whether it's joining a book club, something that you normally wouldn't do, number one, and exposing yourself to people you normally wouldn't expose yourself to
Get
as friends.
switching.
Yeah, as friends, right? And let those friendships blossom naturally, organically into something else if they do. You know what I mean? And number two, don't be shut off to love. Open yourself up and say, you know what? Now that I'm happy with my life and I'm happy with who I am, which I find a lot of women do the opposite. They'll look at you and be like, I don't want a relationship right now. I'm happy. When the fuck do you want it? This is when you're supposed to want it. You're supposed to get a relationship
Right.
and open up yourself to a relationship when you're happy.
In other
That's
words, y'all be coming along and fucking it up.
yeah, exactly. You fucking that shit up. But point being, whatever. So that's my advice. You know, I saw that again today, and I found it interesting. I was interested in what you would say, and it's true, man. Love yourself enough to take a step out there, open yourself up. Now that you're happy,
Nobody will want it. You know,
be
and
open
again,
to
unless you
challenge.
want some freak shit, my motto has always been I only need one, right? So listen, everybody might not be everybody's cup of tea, everybody don't want it, but just find
Yeah,
one if that's what you
7 billion people in the world, bro. Trust me, somebody's dying for you.
want. Right.
Somebody likes somebody likes that little mole you got on the top of your cheek. Somebody likes the way you wear your hair. Somebody likes they like exactly how you are. Just go for it. But with that, I want to say thank you very much as always for coming through, man, and joining me tonight. We
It's
definitely,
fine.
you know
Always.
how it goes. You know how it goes. I'm gonna hit you again to come back because I love having you. Um, if you took anything away from today, number one, communication is so important when you have a couple. A woman's gonna tell you everything she needs to tell you. Just listen, pay attention. You know, she gives you the boundaries. She gives you what's pleasure. She tells you what's pain. Pay attention. Take it slow. You know what I'm saying? Be in the moment yourself, right? But more important than that, set the stage so that she can be in the moment. Set the stage so that she can be present and she can allow herself to be in the moment and really share that time with you. Another part of it is understand that there's trust outside of the bedroom. There's trust inside the bedroom. Make sure that you establish both. It's equally important to have both, especially if you're looking for the fantasy, if you're looking for more. Take your time and teach. Any parting words, Ms.Illy?
Ditto. You done said it all. Pay attention. You said you started off with my thing. Pay attention. I think when we
Pay
pay attention
attention. There
to
you
our
go.
partners, we can say the right things, we can do the right things, we can, you know what I mean, grow in harmony.
Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, they say the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. This has been the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, aka the Hopeful Romantic, aka the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. And I want to thank my guest, Ms.Illy. But most importantly, I want to thank you guys for helping us walk in our why. Have a good one, people. Good night.